Joshua Hanlon here, and today I am in Brooklyn in New York City, and I'm joined by our friend Andreas from
Zusammengebaut. Good to see you.
Yes, and we are going to be going around with Sean Kenney in his studio here, looking at all of the incredible builds that he and his team have been working on and getting kind of a behind the scenes of how they operate here. So thank you so much.
Sure, I'm glad you're here.
So we'll start then with this wall right behind us here, which is some beautifully sorted parts. So let's start walking. We can make our way back there, and you can kind of take us through kind of how this works.
Yeah, sure. I call this affectionately the bucket wall. It's probably the least glamorous name I think you can have for something like this. But much like, I think when we're building, much like a painter, you need to have your palette out on the table in front of you. And so when we're keeping our bricks organized, we have, I'll show you here real fast. We'll have these little bins, right? I don't know what you call them, snap top bins, things like that, which we keep organized by color, right? Bricks and plates. So we'll have a couple of each of these in every color, which is one of the things that, let me just put this down. Ooh. One of the things we realized pretty early on, when you have more than one person working, you can't just like take the bin off the wall and bring it over to your workstation, because then you have like all the blue 2x2s and no one else can build something. And so this wall is really not unlike a very, very large version of like the little parts organizers, right? That like I used to use as an AFOL when I had a lot less bricks. And so we just have, a giant bin of each brick in each color. So they're all organized, right? All red, yellow, blue, white. And then every brick is always in the same place, 1x1, 1x2, 1x3, corner brick, that kind of thing. So that way we know exactly where we need to go get what we need to get. So basically when we're using these little snap bins, when the little cup runs empty, we'll come over, we'll grab the bin, we'll fill the little cup back up, from the bin and go back and continue working. The thing is though that each one of these bins might have, this might be about 2,000 2x3s here right now. When we're working on these really big brick models, you might have 20,000, 30,000 bricks in a model. So the issue is what happens when this bin runs empty, right? And so as a rule, we never want to have to reach into a box to get a brick. We always go into a bin, but then we always have boxes where we can refill each one of these bins. And I'll show you where they are. They're this way.
Make our way over here to the storage room.
Yeah, so we actually have two storage rooms. You can come on back in here. And so in this storage room, we have a K8, that's this size box, filled with each individual brick that's out on that wall. So if you look down this way, you can see our little our little warehouse. So let's see, what was I looking at? Yellow 2x3s, I think it was. So we've got them somewhere. Where the heck are they? Hey, thank you. Wow, you're hired. And so we'll have a box full of each one of those that we can then bring the bin in off the wall, refill from here, and then bring it back out there again. And then when this box goes empty, we have more of them stored off-site somewhere in a warehouse that I've never been to.
Secret location.
No, I've never been there. They just we call them and we say mail this box, and then they mail it to us. So it's because real estate is way too expensive here in New York.
But you've got all the pieces are clearly marked on the outside here of each box, so it's real easy to see what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of always wanted to switch them out for clear boxes so we could see what we have. The biggest problem with that is we never know when it's getting low, and so that's kind of the issue there. So that's how we keep all our basic bricks. So that wall of bins that you see there has probably about 450,000 bricks on it, and then the storage room that you just saw in the back probably has another, I forget, about 750,000 or so. So between the two, it's about 1 million just there, and it's never enough.
It's very impressive.
Do we have all colors? Or are there missing a few? Or do you concentrate on the basics? So this is, I think, my question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I kind of have them organized in order of like what I would call primary, and I don't mean primary as in primary color, but like main use, sort of colors: red, yellow, blue, gray, black, tan, right? And then as we get further and further down towards, the right side of the wall there, they get into the more obscure colors. We get into like pinks and earth green and azure and cool yellow and dark brown and all that stuff. And so you can see that's where we start running out of space. The room is too short. and we've just started trying to throw in bins up there on the wall. But, I kind of find that I like working within the limitations of the color palette, and I know I forget how many different colors they're making now with olive and cool flame yellowish orange and like all these different things. And so we have some of them, but I never really stocked up on a lot of it, and that's it's kind of a dual-pronged thing. Like from one end, you get a lot more creative opportunity when you have more color, right? Because you can do more interesting things by combining the colors, especially with some of the pop art stuff that we've been doing more recently. But then on the flip side, the practical side, we have to worry about the real estate, right? Like if you look, for example, we don't have 1x6s, none, right? Not any color. And the reason is that would be another bin on the shelf, and it would be then times 20 colors, so 20 more bins on the shelf. So that'd be 20 more boxes in the back, and then 20 more, I don't know, pallets in the warehouse, and so then every time we add a color, we have that same problem as well. And made doubly worse because if we end up, if we have a color in stock, then we have to have all of the parts, right, in that color, because then we can't design with it. I can't say, let me make this thing blue if I don't have 2x8s and 1x2s and 3, everything.
So is it a no-go for you if, for example, one color, one or two elements are missing? So then you say, I would skip the color.
Yeah. No, that doesn't bother me. It makes it harder to work with. But but like for instance, when dark tan was new, right? I jumped on it because I realized, like, I do a lot of portraiture, and dark tan is really, really great for the shadows between tan and brown. And so I stocked up on it. And at the time, I think Lego Batman was new. That's how long ago that was. And so they were in a few Batman sets, and I thought, well, this is it. I didn't think it was going to stay. And so I just bought like immense amount of all in like 1x1 and 1x2 plates, and so I've like probably 100,000 of them, in this huge bin. And then anytime I needed to fill a larger area, I would just use more of them. Conversely, when we're doing our big sculptures, sometimes there's a color that like maybe doesn't have a corner brick or a 2x8 or something like that, and we make do. We were working on a really big hot pink sculpture once, and we didn't have any big bricks, and so we were creating 2x8s by just smashing plates together. Right, and so we would just like en masse just sit there at the table and make like hundreds of them at once and throw them in a bin as if they were 2x8 bricks. And then when we needed them, we could just reach in and build with them. So, you make it work. But yeah.
Make do with what you've got then.
I mean, that's exactly right. That's what I was saying, before. It's like found materials, right? Like this is what it is. This is what Lego is. A lot of people are like, I wish they would just make it in every color and every shape. Like, if you make this color, why don't you make corner bricks in olive or, what, that kind of thing. And it's like, well, because they don't. So what? We make it work, right?
And now we'll move into kind of the rest of the room here. For people who aren't familiar with your work, they'll be able to see a lot of examples of kind of what you guys do.
Wait, actually, before we do that, I want to show you, that's basic bricks. I want to show you the funny stuff. Okay. Let's show you the funny stuff, because that's the fun stuff. The funny stuff.
See the full parts collection.
Yeah, I forgot. We got all talking about rectangles. We forgot they make triangles and circles, too. Anyway, these cabinets actually are my giant parts organizers, and this is where I keep all the specialty elements, things that look like coffee cups and hinges and windows and wheels and doors and frogs and pigs and chickens and things. But anyway, here, so these are called Vidmark cabinets. They're made by Stanley Tools.
That's a lot of compartments.
Yeah, so I actually bought these shelving systems off the Lego company. They used to use these in the model shop and in the call center. So like if you called Enfield when you were a little kid and you were missing a part, they would go into these cabinets and pull it for you. And they were getting rid of them to replace them with like a newer system, like a newer shelving system, like I think they were using in Billund. And so I said, well, these are cool. What are you doing with them? And they said, I don't know. Do you want them? Because they're heavy. So I bought a couple of them off them and trucked them down here. But yeah. And this is how we keep kind of all the specialty stuff organized and straight, because like a lot of people associate me with doing a lot of these big brick models, but you still need all this stuff. Especially if you're working on a face and you want detailed areas, or I still do a lot of scale model building, and so you need all the fun stuff, trans for windows, and I don't know, like all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I have a sorted collection too at home. It's not that large, but I just saw a brick I'm missing. This was always fun.
Where was it?
I just want to mention it. What will happen? Where have been the jumper plates?
Where is the jumper?
I think
I consider them first order citizens of my inventory, so they're actually off on the bucket wall over there. Okay. Here I have the jumpers in the funny colors, like really weird colors, like if they're like, I don't know, if they had a fluorescent orange trans, I don't know, something.
The idea behind it is that is it sometimes happening that you just build something like I did a few weeks ago, and I was running out of cannot be. I have no more jumper plate in. It was, I think, 10. Yeah. So what do you do if a brick is missing? Do you run to the Lego store? Do you call friends? What is happening then?
So you need 10 jumpers, huh? Let's go. Let's go this way. Let's see. So I have more. So let's see. So these are my indicators. So let's see. These are wing plates, hinges, fences. No, that's modified bricks, modified plates, Technic. What are we looking for? Jumpers.
In gray. I'm sorry, in gray. Not
old gray or new gray. All right, this way.
This is like a scavenger hunt now.
No. Actually, let's see. Oh, you know what? I don't have the jumpers in my specialty inventory. I think we have them with the plates and bricks. But let's pretend instead we're looking for I don't know, what should we be looking for? How about some kind of snot brick? How about one of these guys? There we go. The brick 1x2 with 4 knobs, right? Right there. So that means this is an E1A. So we have 5 storage rows, A, B, C, D, that kind of thing. And so storage row E happens to be in here. I'll turn on the light. Each section of the shelving is A, B, C, that kind of thing. So we have E1, E2, E3. So this is E1, E1A, B, C, D. So this is E1A. So we pull this out. I was very inspired by the basement of the Idea House. I wanted that fancy shelving, but that was too expensive. So carts on wheels. And so then we look. Let's see. I don't know which one. We'll just pick one here. We'll pick this one right here. And we just say, all right. I don't even know what this is. Don't come around. What am I opening? All right, lime snot bricks, because we all love lime snot. I mean, you need to see a doctor if you have lime snot. Anyway, and so then this is where the lime snot bricks are. So the short answer to your question is, if we're out in the cabinet over there, we always have a box of something in the back. We try to keep about 5,000 of everything. So on the off chance that I've gone through this entire box without noticing, right? Yeah. And then I need that one brick. That's when I have to scramble and, call a friend or go to the Lego store or get a retail set. But we try to keep ahead of that stuff so that it's not an emergency and we have plenty of time. A lot of brick linking, right? I mean, who knows what's going to go on with that.
Always changes.
Yes, the only thing constant is change.
Are these more pieces in the boxes right here?
Yes. Well, and it's funny. Normally, I don't have walls built out of boxes of brick, but we this time about a year ago, these boxes have actually been sitting here for the year. We started doing a lot of this pop art stuff, and so we needed to get in a larger, inventory of just like the funny colors, like the hot pinks and the flame yellowish oranges and purples and stuff. And so we just mass, purchased a whole ton of them and then just plopped them here, and we've been digging into them. So we kind of got to get them out of here and put them in the warehouse.
You mentioned that you have 2 kids. So I guess they're here and are sorting all those bricks.
Have you seen a 5-year-old sort bricks?
Kind of the opposite.
It usually doesn't work well.
No. Actually, what my son likes to do when he's here, he's 5, my daughter is 9. We'll take like a folding table and we'll kick one of the legs out and make a ramp out of it. And then we've just got a bin filled with like wheels and stuff. And they make these crazy cars and they just race them down and smash them all over the floor. And so that's what they do when they're here.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Very productive.
Yeah. No. I have to sort that after that. It's okay. Anyway.
So I'm sure as John has been showing the room, people have probably noticed there's a lot of these wooden boxes all around here. So you've got the Lego models, but then explain kind of what's going on in the room right now.
Yeah, so you've caught me in a weird point. And usually we have a lot of models that are like half built and stuff like that, and that kind of activity going on. But we literally just finished up a couple of sculptures, and they're about to go out the door. And so we've got these crates here that the sculptures are going to get fitted into. And we've also got another set. Those are these light colored crates. These dark ones over here are older sculptures that have come back. They've been on the road for a number of years, and so we've brought them back to rehab them and clean them up and fix them up before they go back off into the warehouse or off onto the road. Actually, we can come take a look.
Yeah, we can go over there, take a closer look, and you can maybe talk about some of that process of how you kind of keep these models from getting too worn out or looking too old.
Actually, let's come over here. I'll show you. I've got the perfect example of that because we've got one right around the corner here. This little guy here. So this is not old gray. These are the same. And this is what happens to a model after it's been out in the sun, and on the road for, it's probably been 6 years or something. And we, every time we make these models to go outside, we'll build them down to a steel plate, and there's some metal that goes up inside this guy so that he doesn't, and mainly that's so we can nail him down, stake him down, screw him down, that kind of thing, so they stay outside and they're safe. We also UV coat them to protect them from the elements, but as you can see, it doesn't, it's not, perfect, right? Of course, the sun will destroy anything made out of plastic. And so in a lot of cases, we have to restore them. We have a process that we use to kind of like strip away the plastic to kind of reveal the cleaner, original colored plastic behind it. Some of the other models, if they're not that far gone, we just have a cleaning process where we can kind of like scrub them down and get them looking new again. In the case of this little guy, he was a lot easier to just rebuild completely, and so we decided to just make a new copy of him completely. I was very happy actually now that these pink space helmets are available from the Lego Movie 2. This one that I got for the old guy about 5 or 6 years ago was made by a custom brick manufacturer that we found on Bricklink.
So you've got the official piece now.
Yeah, we do. I actually had no idea this wasn't a real Lego piece when I used it, and it's funny because I never do that. Like I want it to be real. I want it to be everything that you get in the toy store. And so it wasn't until it was on the road for like I think a year that I was like, oh, whoops. So thank you for Lego for catching up and finally producing this part that I apparently needed 5 years before you made it. So anyway. But
underneath here is also a nice example of how you kind of fit these into crates. Yeah. So I know, the logistics of all of what you do with these shows is really a big deal. So how does that work?
Yeah, I don't know. No. No, we have all of these crates. They're custom made and fitted around the sculpture. So basically, we finish the sculpture, and then we work with this crating company based here in New York City, and they get a real kick out of doing this because they do crates for all kinds of things. It might be machine parts, it might be a famous painting, who knows? And they just think this is great, and so they bring their guys come over here, and they basically bring these sculptures over to their crating facility, and then they build the crate around the sculpture, and then these don't have many of the fittings in them right now, but then they build these custom fittings around them to hold the sculpture in place. You can actually see this one over here. This one over here, this butterfly, they basically figure out how to put these things in and protect them. Like this is foam. It's a little soft, but this is a board, and so that keeps it rigid, but then, gently protected, and they ride on top of slabs of foam down here, which is a little squishy. And so we take all the fittings out, and we can slide the whole wooden tray off the bottom and then unbolt the sculpture and take it out and set it up. So it's an art unto itself to figure out how to fit these things so that, so that the things stay and don't get damaged.
When I look at this, I think it's time for the famous phrase of Joshua Hanlon. Maybe ask you a really, really important question right now.
Does it break down for transport?
It could break in transport. No, it's funny because a lot of my clients actually, they really think like we get asked like, how soon do you need to come out before you start building it all? And I'm like, this took like 10 people like 2 years to make all these things. It's a truckload of stuff. So, conversely, I love knowing that I can just slide the thing out of the box and then put it, on the pedestal or whatever, and it's done. That's what I want, because then I don't have to be there. I don't have to send one of my staff there, and we can have like general art handlers, or even like if it's going to a place that has people we can trust, they can have those things come out. And actually now we work with an exhibition management company, and so they take those things out. And so I think about it this way, like if you can set up my work with gardening gloves on, right, then I've done my job right? And so that's kind of what we try to aim for.
And I want to make sure we mention this model right behind us here. So for people who watched our Brick Fair Virginia coverage last year, you might have seen our interview with Sean where he talked in depth about the bike model we have here. So if you want to see more about this, we'll put a link to that video in the description so you can hear all about how this model came together. But you can also see it now boxed up, so what it looks like when it's shipped.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny, too, because sometimes, talking about the fittings and things that they put in, like that block of foam on the top to keep her from bouncing around, sometimes we actually make our own fittings out of Lego, because there's nothing more precise than having something precisely fit with Lego. And so on the bottom of the crate here, you can see some of these bricks. I'll actually show you real fast.
Yeah.
So we made this funny thing. So this is a negative of her nose, basically. And it kind of goes in, and it fits right in somewhere specifically. I forget exactly where. There we are. So it fits in perfectly, and then this slides in between. Here, I'll just do it. Mm-hmm. Can I leave it? There we go. Oh, I got it backwards. You'd think I would know how to do this after having done this so many times. So it sort of just clicks in, and it clicks into her arm, and then I won't do it for real, but then we've got some tiles and these little bow tiles, and it kind of just slots in like that. Ooh, I got the rope in the wrong way. Sorry.
But yeah, it's a nice tight fit there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, for the full version, go on to the extended DVD Director's Cut edition. Anyway, you get the idea. But yeah, so we do that, and it's always kind of fun to try to, play engineer and figure out how to do these things.
I would like to know something about your inspiration. So when you build such a great, lovely model, and I'm a big bicycle fan, I have kids at home too. So when do you start to think about a new model? And when you have the idea, do you think it's possible, or do you first think, it might not work? Because right here we see, it's always difficult to build round with bricks. So when you thought, bicycle is too complicated, or do you just think, let's go for it?
You know, it's funny. Like for me, I try to start with the idea and not with the is it possible, you know, because I want to try to give myself the challenge of figuring out how to do the impossible, right? And how to push Lego in ways that it's never, you know, been pushed before, to do new types of things with it. And so whatever it is I'm doing, like it comes from the idea first. Like I don't sit there and say like, oh, there's this new building technique, so let me apply it. Like I mean, I don't know. Like I keep that in my toolbox for when I know I need it. In the case of this bicycle, for example, this is actually a rebuild of an older one. You might have seen photos. I had this eco-green bicycle triumphing over this cloggy black traffic jam of tiny little minifig scale cars. That was done live at an event. And so the challenge there was, how do I build a life-size bicycle in like 4 days or whatever at an event? And so I gave myself that challenge. We eventually figured out a way to do it. But then the problem with it was that, well, like real bicycles fall over, right? A lot. So forget one that was built in 3 days out of Lego. And it ended up being one of my most requested pieces to travel to like art galleries and things like that. And so it fell over a lot and it broke a lot, and we were always fixing it. And so I said, let's just start over, and let's take new ideas that we've had, new concepts that we've used on other models, and then apply it to this green bike and make it better so that it can travel better and look better. And so in this particular case, actually, what we did was we've started experimenting with acrylics and other types of plastics, because a lot of times inside the models we'll use metal bars and things just for rigidity, so it can transport, or so if it falls it doesn't break and we don't have to put it back together again. And so we realized that we can glue the Lego to the acrylic with like some special solvents. In fact, you can see up hanging on the ceiling up there, there's this New York City bus. That was a prototype where we were gluing Lego to acrylic to see if it would work. We ended up making 100 models kind of like that, and they're hanging in a big department store in Manhattan right now. And so that then became a tool in our toolbox that we could use to apply forward. And so we said, let's redo that bike. Let's take what we've now learned and apply it to this. And so inside this sculpture is actually a laser cut acrylic sheet that we pre-designed the exact shape of the bicycle, like from like 2D side perspective, and then found a specialist here that has a laser cutting, and then, or a CNC or something, and then cut it. And so we basically then use that as like this custom fitted armature. It runs through the whole sculpture, every beam and bar inside. So basically like a regular bike frame, and then we were able to glue all the Lego around that. So it's still possible. The Lego would still connect, and everything is done for real. It would stand up if it didn't have any of that acrylic in it, but this allows it to transport, right, and allows us to move it around so that other people can enjoy it without, having to fly there every time and fix it or get a damage report from the art venue or whatever else. And just like in New York City, you can steal the seat when I go in for lunch.
Oh, so realistic.
There's your chair here, and those come off too, actually.
So there we go.
And so talking about engineering and transport, this was done this way. Those come out so that now the sculpture just got 2 feet narrower, and it's going to fit into a crate that's only this wide instead of into a crate that's this wide, right? And we also found that the seat, because it was the heaviest point, was always the thing that was falling off and smashing things, because it's just this big heavy block opposed to everything that's thin and wispy. So anyway, it was an engineering nightmare to try to figure out how to get this headlight angled at this angle. I used Technic. I never used Technic. What? Who is this man? So
sometimes you got to branch out.
I know. Next thing you know, it'll be robotics, and my God. Yeah, go ahead. Give it a push. You want to slot that back in too? Yeah. So there's a little tiny metal sleeve that we put in there that just receives the metal shaft, just so that it doesn't wear down the Lego as we go in and out of it all the time. But
look at that. You're so skilled there.
I could work here, man. I'm in. But I don't glue bricks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The position's already been filled.
Yeah, so I beat you to it.
Hey, we can open a crate. You want to see what it looks like?
Yeah.
I got one over here. I don't have a lot of space. I'm sorry. I just remembered we've got this one here. So this is one that we did a few years ago called Father Duck and Ducklings. So let me open it up for you.
Get all the latches undone. It's like Indiana Jones or something here.
Yeah, these are called butterfly hasps, I think.
So do you work with a lot of local, like New York City companies to do all this type of stuff?
Yeah, exactly. We work with a company that does the crates. We work with a company that does the UV coating. We work with other artists actually that do a lot of the welding, and the acrylic, for example, like I mentioned. Here we are. Watch out.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, and so I think we had this one down in DC too when you guys were there, and so this is how this one travels, and again, it's nice to know that we can just sort of slide it right out. Do you smell that nice plywood smell? Oh yeah,
Fresh new smell.
I love the smell of sawdust in the morning. But yeah, and again too, this one's got an acrylic base. I really liked the way the bottom of this looked. That we build a lot of them onto a metal slab, and mostly that grew out of us doing our shows outside, and so we needed to have a way to just stake them down to the ground, and we would cover the metal. But then it doesn't look so nice, especially after it's been on the road a bunch or it gets rusty or scratched or whatever. And so we've been experimenting with new ways of basically presenting the work. And since we knew we could glue to the acrylics, we said, oh, well, maybe we could have a bar that comes up that's acrylic, or glue the duckies down or whatever. Did you notice the last one?
There's one question came in mind. You just mentioned it is not all gray. We've seen the red in front. But are there bricks out there which you really like to have and you still buy them because you're afraid they could be gone one day? Or do you have special bricks which are already gone? I ask because in the Legoland studio, I've been there last summer, they have like this big shelves which bricks which aren't out there anymore, or they have never been released and they got them from Lego. So is this something you would love to have, or do you have some special bricks, and where are they?
Please give us all the details.
I will not give you the secret location. No, well, so I certainly don't have anything that's never been released. Like the only things I have here are what's off the shelf, and even bulk ordering from Lego, they won't sell anything that is for internal use only. Like they'll make like a medium nougat 2x8 just because they need to build a giant Lego Friends sculpture, and so they'll make it for themselves. Those are the things that end up in the parks that you guys see. They call them Q elements, which is just their internal code for internal use only. And so a lot of my colleagues say, like, I want to get Q elements because I want to be able to build this amazing thing. And for me, I don't actually want them. I want everything that you have in the toy store, right? And I want to only have what everyone else has, because then it kind of takes some of the magic out of it, It's not like, wow, look at what this person can do with, a little ingenuity. Instead, it's just like, oh, well, he's got a special treatment. He got that special thing. No one can really do that. And so I don't ever want that to be the case, And so as for old things, I have them, but just because I'm old and I have things from a long time ago. Like I found a red 1x6 that said Happy Motoring on the side of it. It's from the Exxon gas station from like 1983, maybe, I'm going to guess, which I remember getting for my, 7th birthday or something like that. It's in there. It's in those drawers and those cabinets with all the other bricks, just because this is my Lego collection. It just got big. So if I have old gray, it's just because it's sitting around for that long, that kind of thing. But I don't hoard them. I'm not trying to create a supply and demand situation on the aftermarket. But I also don't take them specifically because I know I have a use for them. I just have them sitting around. And so then if I'm building something, I say, oh, here, I can use this old gear for something or whatever it might be.
Because lighting is perfect right now, I would like to go there and to your new sculpture, which is awesome. Right there, the sun is shining. I've seen it on Instagram. And so I have one question. Do you need it? Or because
Or do you think he could take it to Germany?
I will just explain it. I mean, I love your work. I came here the long way, and there's one white wall in my office, and there's nothing. It's just a white wall. And this would this would fit perfect into my office. Or how much is it?
Well, fortunately, it stows safely in the overhead compartment. No, this is not for sale. I had made a self-portrait many, many years ago, like just a mosaic, standard mosaic. And we lately, as we've been repackaging my exhibitions, my exhibit partner said, like, oh, we should have like a little intro room where, like, before you come in and see all the stuff, you get to meet me. You get to say, who's this guy? What's he about? And so they hung this real old self-portrait of me, and we had a little story about how I got to where I am and a little video. But the portrait itself was just kind of blah, and it was actually really huge. I just made this part of my face, just like a real close-up, and it was gigantic, right? And I was like the most egotistical, like it was just gross.
We did learn a lot about you from that.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, okay, you can hang it for this one, but let me make something more that's more fun and that's more me. And so I always used to be a cartoonist. Like I was always growing up growing up, I was always drawing. In fact, when I posted this on social media last week, a whole bunch of people who I haven't seen in 20 years started commenting like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm reading your old comic books from high school," you know? And so anyway, this, as much as it doesn't literally look like me, this is just my cartoon of me. I'm very depressed that one of my assistants insisted that we use dark gray instead of brown on the upper section there. But, you know, hey, we got to modernize it. But anyway, but yeah, and so much like the cargo bike sculpture that we had in Virginia that we have in the other video, I wanted this to really remain my cartoon, you know, like, and not like somebody else's version of my cartoon, but my cartoon. And I wanted it to kind of, I like this multiplanar idea. I think I was watching some documentaries on the multiplanar camera that Walt Disney invented. I love that stuff. And so I wanted this kind of look of like this flat cartoon, just kind of like jumped off the Sunday comics and into the world. And so this is going to be the little intro, like, "Hi, how you doing?" In my new exhibition. So you can't have it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I will stay for a few more minutes then. But what is really interesting, I mean, it is you. So, and you mentioned that you have, of course, some employees here. So this is you. Do you build this on your own because it's you?
No, although in retrospect, maybe I should have or could have, I guess. And that's not to say that we did it wrong or anything like that. But like, I feel like, how can you make a drawing? How can you have someone else make your drawing for you? But I also think about it like any of the great cartoonists, you know, like Stan Lee, who used to do comic books and things like that. Like Stan Lee got to a point where he would just write "bed" in the back corner, and then someone would have to figure out, because somebody else is inking for you, right? And you get that in animation too. You know, the greats would draw, right, and then someone else would be cleaning up, right, or doing in-betweening and things like that. And so that's kind of how I approach how I work with my assistants, because they're all artists. They're painters and sculptors and work in mixed media and things. And so really for this, it was about challenging them with a way of coming up with how to build something that didn't look like an attempt at a copy, but instead was just like a cleaning up, right? Like inking someone else's line drawing. So we actually worked with them a lot, and all I did was give them a black and white drawing, and then they were like, "Well, we should put something in the background, and are we going to color it in?" And we were thinking like we could do it just the lines hanging from the ceiling, and we went through a lot of different iterations of things, and eventually someone stumbled onto a drawer where I had like 1,000 of these Azure bikes, and they said, "What are you going to use these for?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just bought them one day. I figured I'd use them for something." And they're like, "Well, let's do this." And so I was like, "Okay." And then we experimented with lots of different ways. We had the bikes in like weird jumbles, and we made different patterns, and we eventually settled on this. And I kind of like it because from farther away, it just looks like a texture or a wallpaper or something. But then when you get closer, it's like, oh yeah, it is a self-portrait. And I like cycling, you know, as a form of urban transport. And so why not?
How are the bikes attached if somebody wants to try something similar, maybe with their own build?
Yeah, it's very simple. There's a stud on the back of the minifigure bicycle, right, just over the rear wheel. And if you look closely, you can see there's a plate that comes out from the back wall. So it's just a standard, the back wall is just 2 studs thick, standard studs up, you know, wall. And then I think it's every 6 plates or every 9 plates, there's one that juts out, and then the wheel just clicks in and connects underneath it. That's it. No magic.
Perfect. This looks really, really good. And I mean, you just mentioned somebody else built this. I mean, you are the boss. You are the genius. You give them, I mean, you just come here like and hey, do you still work? And
can you just stand here and compliment him all day? He might pay.
and then leave office at 3 or something. No, I mean, do you still build on your own? This is something. Do you still help, or you just no? Do it for me.
First of all, you're really trying to get me to fire him to hire you, aren't you? I can see where this is going. Josh, you're gonna need to step up your game because yeah, no. Do I build? Yes. Every single day. Every single day, and I'm always the first one in, you know, and I used to always be the last one out as well, but now I've got kids, so I've got to punch out, and some of the folks who are night owls stay here longer than me, but no, I build every single day. I love it.
And what we've just seen, you still build what I think is really interesting, Lego sets. So like we've seen the roller coaster of Jamie Barrard, the rocket of Mike Psyche, the Lego Ideas project. So this is something like you build it because you would like to see how it works. Do you like to have new inspiration? Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, a lot of those things. You know, I I feel like it helps me stay connected with why I always did this before I started doing it professionally. You know, like it's easy to sort of for it to become something different, but I want to retain that passionate fandom that I've always had for it, which is why I started doing this professionally. I don't want to forget that. And so it helps keep me connected with that. It also, like, I build so that I can build with my kids. You know, I'll build with my kids and we'll play with the sets together. And then when they get, you know, too many in the house or something, then I bring them over here to my studio and we break them down and put them into the inventory. But yeah, it also keeps me abreast of like new parts and new colors. Like I love the New Elementary, that blog, right? I love reading through that and sort of like looking at how people are using the parts. And it also shows you new ways that you can connect things that you might not have thought of. You're like, oh, I never realized that you can, I don't know, turn this thing sideways and it fits aligned with that other thing. And so, using building the retail sets the way they're meant to be built is the way to do that. It's funny because I would bring these, I get them shipped here, right? And then I'll put them in my cargo bike and I'll go home with them and I have dinner and we put my kids to bed. And then after they're in bed, I break out the Lego set. I dump it out and maybe I'll sit at the coffee table or something. My wife is reading a book and she looked at me and she's like, you really love it, don't you? Like, don't you just want to go home from work sort of metaphorically? And I'm like, but this is what I love. This is why I'm doing this for my full-time thing, because I love it so much. So, of course, the retail sets.
That's fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, this sounds really great. And I mean, we have two more sculptures right here. And I don't know, I mean, it's kind of tricky for me to know the names here, maybe in English. But this is an animal there. Please tell us about it.
I didn't do my job right if you don't know what it is. My God.
The German translation he's struggling with.
Yeah. Hausdeer, is that what you call it? A pet?
I would say this is a Hirsch.
What is Hirsch? What does that translate? I don't even know.
I don't know the English word, but
little communication issue, but that's okay. Now, yeah, what stands out here is the colors of these. So maybe in particular talk about that and why these look the way they do.
Yeah. So these are. So about a year ago, I started making a whole bunch of plants and animals and things, much like we always have been for our touring exhibitions, but in this crazy, crazy way. And so we've actually just finished an entire exhibit's worth of these sculptures that I call nature pop, right? It's sort of like this pop art kind of thing. But also we noticed that like our sculptures, when they're out in a garden or something like that, because they're built to look like real deer, let's say, they'll blend in, right? Like they're supposed to with nature. And so now they're going to just pop at you, right? Like you're going to see this bright yellow thing staring at you from across the lawn or something. But yeah, I've always really been fascinated with just the like when you take Lego and you build it into a large form like this, it occupies this really interesting space between texture and form and color. And I think it's really, really unique to Lego specifically, right? And I feel like doing something like this really leverages Lego as a medium for what it really is, opposed to trying to force it to do the thing you want it to do, right? Like, how can I make this look enough like a real, I don't know, deer's eye or something? And here I say, no, forget that. This is Lego. Let's let the Lego be Lego and then just do something wackadoodle with it, right? And so I've always really, I'm a minimalist, I'm a modernist, you know, and so like if you look at like the big green bicycle that I've made, or if you look at my lamps or other things like that, like I love just sort of taking like either a monochromatic or a simple colored form and just allowing you to look at the shape. And so we figured we would do this kind of stuff with it. So some of the sculptures that are in the exhibit are just one color maybe, or maybe like it's a mom and a baby and they're two tones of like azure and dark azure or something like that look really pretty together. We just wanted to make things that were just visually surprising, you know, and different and exciting. And so these two deer and then this confetti rose that's behind you there, these are the last three of them, and I actually don't know if I can tell you where they're going yet. Ooh, I don't like keeping secrets, but so let's just leave it at we'll leave it at this. You will probably be covering it later.
Okay.
We'll call it that, and actually probably you, but we'll leave it there. And then just these three. The rest of them are actually going off into a sea container, I think, in a week or so, and they're shipping out to Belgium. And so we're going to premiere Nature Pop, the exhibit, with the brothers and sisters of these at the Antwerp Zoo. Outside of Antwerp, Belgium, in April. So I'm excited about that.
Look forward to that. All our Belgian viewers, make sure to check it out when it opens up. No, I wanted to make sure we also got down to kind of the nitty gritty of the building here. So if we walk over to this station here, I noticed that you've got kind of a build in progress. So this is kind of like what it's like on the day-to-day basis of these builds coming together. So explain what this process is like to get to what we've seen with the finished models.
Yeah. Sorry that it's such a small one. It's probably not indicative of the bigger ones because it's kind of all closed off. But I'm going to pop some of these off. So we do glue the bricks one by one as we go. And so when we leave for the day, we set these 2x8s over everything so that it kind of can lock everything together. And that way the bricks stay nice and rigid and rectilinear, and they don't kind of want to wiggle or if they set funny overnight. But yeah, so basically when we design these models, we basically create a digital schematic for ourselves. Not building instructions, but like drawings basically that allow, like I can draw this and then allow one of my assistants to then follow those schematics. Kind of like an architect makes a drawing and then a contractor knows how to follow it, a blueprint. These guys are actually bats. I'm going to take all these off, actually. Sleeping bats, so their wings are folded up. We're going to make some next week with the wings out. But here. So they're gonna hang. So we actually put some airplane cable into them, and they're just wrapped around a little beam that's 2x8s in the inside. And they just come out through a little headlight brick on the back. Uh-oh. Sounds like we got a souvenir in there.
You never want to hear anything clanging around inside.
Oh, it happens. I almost dropped my cell phone down a polar bear leg once. How many people have ever used those words together in that order?
I don't know. That might be the first time ever.
Day in the life. One time we just finished a portrait of somebody's pet, and we were in a staff meeting, and my assistant looked at me dead serious and said, do you want me to shoot the cat today? He meant photograph the portrait of the cat. But anyway, we'll create these schematics so then the model builders can sit down and then follow those schematics and then basically build the model the way that we've designed it. If you think about a sculpture, a Lego sculpture, it's really just a stack of mosaics, right? And so it's not hard to draw a mosaic, right? And so it's not hard for someone to then look at that mosaic, right, and then repeat that pattern as they go up. And so then just row after row, they can follow our directions. So then as our model builders get more experience, like the person that's working on this one, she's been here for about a year. And Caroline, who's going to be working over here, she's now been here for maybe a year and a half, and she's itching to do some design work. And so rather than build some more bats, she's going to sit down and try to figure out how to do some designs herself. And so what we like to do is let people kind of first learn the techniques. Like I teach them like how I build, and the techniques that I've developed to make it easier and faster and stronger, and those kinds of things. And then once they've sort of learned that and they kind of got that part and they figured it out easily, then they're always itching to do some design work because they're all artists. And then we say, great, let me show you how I design now. And then I start teaching them about the kinds of things that I look at and what I care about in a design, that kind of stuff. So that way people can grow and then, and flex their creative muscles and that kind of thing.
We should also mention this strange kind of white robotic arm that comes down here. So what is this whole system?
That's for your hair. If you want to do your hair.
You can sit in the chair, put it on.
It's just right. You just go right here like this.
Okay. I'm the German of the whole. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, perfect. It looks great.
Wait, look what it's doing to his hair, actually. Maybe this will answer the question. Oh, magic, right? You need a haircut. So this is our Fume extraction system, and this is a very, very fancy, very expensive, very custom vacuum cleaner is basically what it is. So there's a fan on the roof, and it just has like a custom control on it, and we can turn it on based on how many of these arms we have. We have 14 of them here in the building, each of which can cover about 100 square feet. So wherever you might be working, you're always within reach of 2 or 3 of them. You pull the arm down, you can open it up with a little knob here, and then it starts creating a little bit of suction underneath. Because we glue everything, then those glues have fumes, and those fumes are nasty, so we want to kind of suck them out. And then there's like a carbon cleaning thing that filters it and cleans it, and then we just blow the rest of the air off the roof, and that's how we don't die.
And this is something that I think you see in like the Legoland model shop, so a lot of similar systems like that whenever people are using a lot of glue for these types of builds.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually talked with a lot of the guys at a lot of the model shops to understand how they do what they do and stuff like that. And then we ended up calling like a local specialist that's based here in the New York, New Jersey area that does just like clean air systems. Like there's like welding shops and carpentry places and people who like, I don't know, make carpets, and there's weird glues and stuff in the world, and so they come in and they build these neat systems. So it does the job. It does the job.
I just have 3 questions left, Sean. First one, what is your favorite Lego color? Secondly, what is your favorite Lego element of all times? And the third one is, Joshua or myself, who could work here?
We might save the last question till the very end.
Oh my goodness. So sorry. So what is my favorite color? What is my favorite piece? And which one of you gets the job? So my favorite color. Wow, no one's ever asked me that. I kind of feel like I want to say red because there's something kind of like really iconic about Lego red. Like when I think about Lego, you think about the primaries, right? And like if I had to make something, I guess if I had to make something colorful, it would be red. But believe it or not, I think I use white more than anything else. And I think it's because as a modernist and as a minimalist, I kind of want to use the white to help set back, than the punch of red, let's say, that might be the foreground or something like that. So I find I use a lot of it. As for favorite piece, I always used to say the headlight brick because I always loved that you could turn it on its back and use it in a whole bunch of different ways. And I find I don't use it as much anymore, like for like snot work and stuff, as I would like the 1x1 snot brick and stuff like that. So I think if I had to have a new favorite piece, what would it be? Might be maybe one of the new bow plates. I love those, the little like maybe the 1x2 or the ones that have the little chamfered edges and stuff like that. Those are really cool, and I've really loved starting to work with that. Most of what I do is usually very studded, but when I'm doing smaller models and scale models, I love that kind of studless look. So as for your third question, heads or tails?
Head.
All right, heads, it's him. Tails, it's you. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Better luck next time, Andres. It was a tough interview process.
Bye. Joshua, hey, take care.
Yes, you too.
Good luck with your YouTube channel.
Well, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for taking us all around here. It's been great to get kind of into your process and how this all works here, seeing your large models. So can't wait to see more of your builds on display. Sounds like you're going to Europe. Do you have any current shows going right now if people want to check stuff out?
Yeah, we have a few shows that are on the road right now. You can go to my website, SeanKenney.com, and click on exhibits, and there's a little calendar on the page there where you can just see the dates and locations.
Okay, so we'll make sure to put a link in the description so if anybody wants to check out where Sean's work is at the moment and see future shows, definitely check it out because as you've seen at the studio, this stuff is just incredible and you definitely want to see this in person. So thank you so much. Once again, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We both really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here.
We have to leave.
Well, I'm sorry to hear, but you know what? You want to work here, right? You got to know how to glue, unfortunately. So you want to try it out?
Glue.
I'll get you a real one. Come on. Oh. Let's try it out.
Oh man.
Have a seat.
I mean, glue a brick, really? I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. Everybody has their own version of purism, right? But for me, as long as they connect the way they should, this is just to make sure they don't break when they shouldn't. So this is the world's greatest glue applicator, but that's not Elmer's.
No pressure, no pressure.
So.
Go ahead, grab a brick. Maybe start with a big one. Yeah, I don't know. Right here. Whatever.
Here's some 2x4s.
Yeah, you want something bigger. So just like making a brick wall, you want to line up your bricks like you're gonna make a wall.
This is just for science. This is not me. This is. So I will. It's.
Go ahead and open the bottle.
Okay.
No.
The top.
Oh, okay. You see, it's
There
pro.
you go.
I'm a pro.
There
Okay.
you go. If there's a little dried glue on the top, you can just kind of creak that off a bit.
Okay.
Okay, you opened it too much.
Oh, it's open now. Okay.
So let's actually clean off the top. Looks like there's some dry glue on there. And what did you do to this thing? And don't you have Elmer's in Germany? What's this los mit dir? Okay, so take the glue, right, and then just run it very gently down in between the center studs. You can run right across the bricks.
Should I do it?
Yes, do it.
Give it a little bit of squeeze, not too much pressure.
A lot of unfollows.
No pressure, but a little pressure. Unfollow. Oh, there we go. Just
Right down the middle.
Right down
This
the
way?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good amount. Yeah, that's a good amount. Oh, he's slow. Yeah.
So, and now.
Is that good? And then.
This little bit.
Uh-oh. See, he's trading.
So, and I put it.
Yeah, just build. You know how to build with Lego, right?
Have you ever touched a brick before? Here's some.
This is a first here.
Okay, then I will. How long does it take till it's really glued together?
So you could right now you could pull a brick right off the top.
Okay.
Let's hold on. Let me give you a little. You made a mess. You
Yes,
slob.
Oh man.
I'm really sorry about
There's
that.
gonna be a lot of
That's
quality
okay.
control.
Yeah, okay,
here.
So, but actually, here, turn it around. You can see the little blobby on the back you made. This little where it came out. You can see there's a little bit of a marring just from the glue touching.
Oh, yeah,
because
just
it's actually not a glue; it's a solvent, and so it eats away, and it kind of works on a molecular level. So we can't make those kinds of mistakes. If that happened for real, we'd have to throw the brick out or turn it around maybe and use the other side. But you have you could pull a brick off. Try it. The brick will come right off right now because it's still wet, but it's a little stiff, yeah. And
okay.
And so you have a little time while it's still working, and it's basically trying to dissolve the plastic together. Basically, the bricks, kind of the molecules, kind of jiggle around, and then once the solvent has evaporated, the molecules from the bricks on one have merged with the one from the other. You've got about an hour before it's going to be really hard to pull things apart, and then if you wait till tomorrow, that's that.
And if I would put this, I will do it right now, but this is enough glue to put it there?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the best way, but this is the way I found is the most efficient, right? Because really, when you think about when the two bricks connect, it's really the tube that connects to the studs, right? So really what you're doing is you're basically, when the brick goes down, it kind of squishes the glue off so that the tube on the underside of that 2x2 there, for example, will push the glue off to the sides of the studs of the 2x4 below. The Lego group, actually, they take the brick, they turn it upside down, and I'll show you. They would take a brick, and they would take their glue, and they would actually put the glue around each tube like this, and then turn it down, because then the glue kind of dribbles a little bit. You turn it this way, then it dribbles back down. It's very, very slow. It's very slow. And they use a different solvent that's a little thicker.
And one last thing here, so when I would like to put those bricks here above.
Yeah. So in that case, you do have to glue the tubes. So you'd have to hold the brick pretty much on an angle like that.
Yeah.
Take this, put a tiny bit just on the inside of the tube, not on the bottom of it, so that it wants to dribble down a little bit before it gets too far.
All 3 rows here?
Yeah, maybe 2 of them. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a 1x3, there's only 2. But don't fill the brick. No, you're not making a swimming pool. Oh my God, you're going to deform the brick. So if you fill that with glue, it's going to eat through the brick walls.
This is too much?
That was way too much. That's okay. That's okay. This is all for science.
Maybe, only maybe, I could take this to my office and show an image in 2 days. What will happen here? This all.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to smash it tomorrow and tell you what happens. But yeah, you kind of want to go along the sides of the tubes. Yeah, not the bottoms of the tubes. That's gonna make a mess. It's not too much. It's okay.
Hang in there. You'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Enough strength.
I think this looks perfect. I think I'm done for gluing bricks now.
Yeah.
What
Sorry,
do you
Josh.
think?
She's hired.
Oh man.
What do you think? I mean,
Yeah. See.
You can't compete with that quality.
Yeah. Look at that.
thank you so much for showing us how to glue a brick.
Sure.
I'm a happy person now.
Yeah. Good. That's
And
gonna be a
those
souvenir. You take
bricks-
that with you.
Really?
Yeah. Take it with you. You can build it into maybe you can make
Your
a
very
nice,
own glued build.
Make a nice I don't know what Kirby out of it or something like that.
Present for my daughter. Okay, I will bring it to
Glue
her.
bricks?
Glue bricks. You're gonna be happy.
I know they just don't want to eat that. This is some toxic stuff.
Maybe I will go to the Lego store and buy some bricks and I will put this in my office. Thank you so much, Sean. It was fun. So if you ever want to glue brick, here we see the product.
No, that's not what it is.
Only glue.
They make the world's greatest glue applicator. We buy the glue, we dump the glue out, and then we put this stuff in.
And here once again you see damage I've already done here. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This was fun. All right. Now we're done.